Hey everyone, we are doing our annual tradition of a video to try to impart some wisdom or lessons, or at least our experiences from now, almost 29 years of marriage. Tomorrow, December 17th, will be 29 years from December 17th, 1994. And if you add all those years together, it spells old. Sorry.
You gonna give him the wisdom?
Okay, so Diane and I always try to talk about what we're going to share. We have talked about the fact that so much of your marriage life is spent, you might imagine it's all face to face. I don't know how
When
to
you start
illustrate
out,
that.
like dating, you spend a lot of time, really, most couples anyway, excuse me, spend their time getting to know each other, very enthralled in each other. But once you have to go back to real life after the honeymoon, it's not like that.
Yeah, so you often are moving in different directions, but the only image or parallel or analogy I can think of is that a really good marriage, or at least a strong marriage, should be more like a strong tether, not a chain. And that tether keeps you together, and that tether is prayer, connecting, really just sharing with each other what's happening when you're not together. And
Yeah, the way that I was thinking of it, it's like when you go out into the business world as a stay-home mom, even you're going out to the schools or going out to the playgrounds or whatever you're doing. And I know for some people that sounds like it's such a cakewalk, but it is a stressful environment depending on who is there with you and who you are in relationship with in those environments. So when you come home to your spouse, it's very important that as the opposite spouse, that you are a support person for whatever values and circumstances that your loved one spouse has experienced, and that you take seriously their struggles. Because now, instead of just talking about who I am, I'm talking about what I've experienced. Instead of him talking about just who he is, he's talking about what he's experienced. And this is what builds in building blocks who you are in a relationship and who you are in life. So when those separate experiences going in separate directions come together, the only way that you build shared experiences is to share with each other those experiences. And if they're minimized, if they're disregarded, if there's no time for listening and caring and bringing to the table what your life has been like, you do not know each other anymore. And what your children face, and sharing that responsibility of bringing up your children together. If one of you feels a certain way about a behavior and the other one disagrees, you have to talk about those things together ahead of time and between times, making as if you were a tapestry, a weaving together of your lives, so that you're building this new thing that would have never been possible, something you would have never fathomed while dating.
Yeah. So yeah, I like the analogy of tapestry because it's so colorful, and there's so many twists and turns usually in a tapestry, and that is life. So living life together, not apart, but when you are apart, trying to create those experiences into, or make them into, shared experiences.
Yes, even when you're out of town, even when you have whole long 12-hour days or whatever, Craig and I, what we try to do is not go to bed at separate times. We try to, I know that's not practical for some of you, especially if you have swing shifts and things like that, but as much as you can, be awake for at least those hours where you talk about what you've experienced in the last 12 or 24 hours. And pray over your marriage, and pray over each other, and pray over your children, and have family devotion 3 to 5 times a week, maybe all 7 days if you can, even if it's a small amount, right, when you're tucking your children in at night or something, to have prayer and Bible reading together, but to build on what you two have experienced, to make new experiences on that sharing of what I went through today, or what I went through 2 days ago, or how that's improved, or how much harder that's gotten. Even if it's just about talking about the groceries and going to the grocery store together. I mean, like, there are some really strange ways in which the Lord can build relationship and build your future, but you have to lean into each other and to the life that you now have that didn't seem like what you expected when you were dating.
Yeah, that's all good. And the only other thing I would share is if you have to travel or be apart, then you have to ask the question, how can we make those times? Like, you have to actually work extra hard to do that. If you travel, whomever you might be, the husband or the wife, try to limit your days away, because as many more days pass, it's harder to keep that connection.
Yes.
And even make those experiences shared. So some people don't have a choice. They're on long assignments. Maybe they work for
Military.
truck driver, military, railroad, whatever it is. But find those connection points and times to connect. And then as you move into new seasons of life and new rhythms are established, like being self-employed and starting a new business, where there's a real intensity to what you're doing, you have to work extra hard to create those connection points, and don't just get overwhelmed with the newness of your experience and not be able to make it your spouse's experience.
The telephone, very important piece to keeping connected when you're apart. And then just text, some, I'm thinking of you, whatever. Those kinds of things are really nice. I try to do little small gestures like cleaning up after the other one or something like that, where you fill up a glass with ice, or you bring them a coffee or something, just little things that can make a big difference to show that you're on their side when maybe they're struggling. And try to get that reminder on a daily basis that the Lord's grace is new every morning. His mercies are new every morning, and get a reset. And don't let the sun go down on your anger. You may agree to not stay mad, but you're not going to discuss it until you're not as tired. But you should call a truce and say, hey, we're just not understanding each other tonight, so we're going to go to sleep and we'll work on this. But don't let it go too long. And we hope this has been help to you. It's all challenging because we're all human and nobody does it perfectly. And even those who do it well have lots and lots of pitfalls that they have to navigate through. So all the best. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Yes.